Hello all, welcome to Smart Classes. I'm doing this video after a long time. I do apologize you people and I'm really sorry for making the video so late. So without wasting any time, let's get into the Naxalite movement in Telangana. Basically, the Naxalite movement is also known as the revolutionary extremism or left-wing extremism. Basically, this movement has started immediately after the 1969 Telangana movement. There was a similar struggle as the Naxalite movement called Telangana Armed Struggle, which was waged by CPI leaders or the CPI members. So these people have also liberated lot of lands from the landlords and distributed among the people. And they have also freed many slaves from the landlords. But still, there was need of there were many lands, or the landlords have come back and taken back their lands from the farmers, and they started ruling the villages again. So we will look into the causes now. So initially, what led to the Naxalite movement in India? We'll see the national causes. The first and the important cause is the food crisis, lack of food grains, so that people were because of that people were starved. So lack of food grains led to food crisis, which led to green revolution. If you remember, green revolution was done in order to increase the amount of food grains generated in India and also import of food grains from North America. So these were the two measures taken by the Indian government, but still the lack of food has not been solved because of these two measures. And the poor were starved. But the rich people have snatched the food from the poor, and they have exploited poor in all the ways they can. And then the second reason is the feudalism, that is the landlords exploiting the farmers. So large amount of land was just in the hands of few people, and all the largest part of the society was working for these few people who were really rich and were oppressing the poor people continuously. And then you have the coercion is nothing but because of these economic situations, there were extra economic situations which were created, which were creating disturbance in the society. So basically, as you remember, we have discussed about the gadi of the Doras. So basically, in the agricultural land of Duras, there were farmers working, and in the Gadi, there were the family people of the farmers working as slaves. So the family people of farmers working as slaves, because the farmers are slaves and they have taken money from these Duras. So in order to give back that money in the form of slavery, these people work. So this situation which is created by the bad economic situation of the farmer is known as extra economic coercion. And the fourth reason is the unemployment. So unemployment has also led to people started fighting for their employment in the society, because obviously the end reason is the food. So, and the political crisis. Political crisis has also started because of the Congress people who were political Congress people, who the landlords who were abolished by Telangana armed struggle came back again as the political Congress leaders, and they started ruling the people and exploiting the people. So political crisis is also one of the major reasons, because almost in all the reasons in all the regions Congress was in the front hand, and there were no people to compete with these Congress people. And then the debate among the communists. Last but not the least, this is one of the main reasons which led to the Naxalite movement. So the Communist Party split into two different parties, CPIM and CPI. So which led to the Naxalite movement in India. And then we'll see the international reasons. Some of the international reasons, one of the main international reasons is rising of anti-imperialism. That is, abolition of imperialism was the target of all the countries in the world. Abolishing imperialism. So all the people were fighting against the imperialists who were ruling their countries. And then struggles in Vietnam against American. Vietnam was a very small country. Even then, Vietnam people were struggling and fighting against the very mighty country called USA. And then French students' protest, which led to French Revolution, also led to the was also an inspiration for the Naxalite movement. And then again, last but not least, Mao's Cultural Revolution. So the Naxalites have directly followed the Maoist Cultural Revolution, and they have opted all the measures taken by the Maoist Cultural Resolution. And then, where did this Naxalite movement has actually originated? So it has originated in a Naxalbari village, which was also known as Naxalbari movement. This Naxalbari village is in a Siliguri district, West Bengal. So basically Siliguri district, Darjeeling is also in this district. It is in the chicken neck of the India map. That is, there's a small area which connects the northeast and the northern region. So this chicken neck is known as the Siliguri district, and this Naxalbari village is in this Siliguri district. So the main important leader of this Naxalbari movement, or the person who led to the formation of CPIML, was Charu Majumdar. Basically, he has written 8 documents, that is, he has written 8 articles explaining the situation of India during those days, which included revisionism, revolutionary party, and Chinese revolutionary model, that is Mao's cultural revolution. So he has opted Chinese revolutionary model in order to fight against the feudal lords or the rich people who were exploiting the poor people. And he has also written a document on organizing the peasantry committees and different peasantry movements. And then there were 2 other important leaders along with Charu Majumdar, who was Kanu Sanyal and Jungle Santal. So he belonged to the Santal tribals. So he fought for the welfare of the Santal tribals. So in March to April 1967, they have organized peasant committees, land documents were burned, and land occupation in 60 places were organized. So during this peasantry movement, 11 women and 2 children died because of the police firing. So this struggle has gained importance because of the death of these people and the land occupation in 60 places, and lot of land documents were burned. After this incident, this Naxalite movement, that is Naxalbari movement, which was later called Naxalite movement, has spread to different areas in the state and in the country. So the most important areas are Srikakulam in Andhra Pradesh, Mushabari in Bihar, and Birbhum in West Bengal, and Wayanad, Kerala, Firozpur, Punjab, and Lakhimpur, UP. So it has spread to these are the 6 important cities where the Naxalbari movement initially spread, and then it was known as Naxalite movement. So the name Naxalite came from this Naxalbari village. Okay, and then let us see a little bit about CPI, which was discussed in the previous videos. Basically, CPI was initially formed in 1920 Tashkent, and 1925 it came to India. CPI took part in the national movement also. In 1964, there was a war between India and China. So there was a split in the CPI into two. One group supported India and one group supported the Chinese stance in the India China war, which led to the split of the CPI into CPI and CPM. So later, after this, there were some people who came out of these two groups and formed CPI ML. ML is nothing but Marxist Lenin. So then they have formed CPI ML. So this CPI ML is responsible for the Naxalite movement, and the leader who formed the CPI ML was Charu Majumdar. So let's look into the events which led to the formation of CPI-ML. So supporters of Naxalbari movement formed AICCR initially. AICCR was formed on 12th November 1967. Basically, AICCR is nothing but All India Coordination Committee of Revolutionaries. It was then converted into AICCCR, which is All India Coordination Committee of Communist Revolutionaries. It was converted in 14th May 1968. And then on 22nd April 1969, CPIML was formed, that is AICCCR joined CPIML, and they have been CPIML, which is Marxist Lenin, has been formed on the birthday of Lenin, which is on 22nd April 1969, led by Charu Majumdar, who was basically from CPM. There was most important leaders of Bengal, that is different theater artists, directors, and movie actors, and important people who have participated in the national movement have joined this CPI-ML. Swaraj Datta was one among them. And then this CPI-ML has come to Srikakulam, Andhra Pradesh. So what happened was initially there was Srikakulam armed struggle in Andhra Pradesh. This armed struggle was by the tribal people in against the exploitation. So this armed struggle was suppressed by Jalgam Vengal Rao. So after this armed struggle was suppressed, these people who were fighting in Srikakulam armed struggle have joined CPIML and started fighting with CPIML. So in tribal areas, exploiters, money lenders, and forest officers were exploiting the people. So these people were the people who were doing the armed struggle were helping these tribal people, and they have joined CPI and they have again started helping these tribal people. And important leaders of this Srikakulam armed struggle or CPIML from Srikakulam were Vempatu Satyanarayana, Nirmala, and Sita Ramaya. Remembering these names is really important. And then once Charu Majumdar, who was the founder of the CPI-ML, and one more important leader from the Naxalbari movement, who was Kanu Sanyal. Both of them came to Guttikondabilam in Guntur, and they have met communist leaders, that is CPI-ML leaders in Andhra Pradesh, in Guttikondabilam, Guntur. You have to remember that this is the first public meeting of Naxalites. So he has met four important leaders whose names you need to remember, and we will keep repeating these names again and again. So just look into these names clearly. The first one was Kondapalli Sitaramaya, second one Devlapalli Venkateshwar Rao, Tarimella Nagireddy, who belonged to Anantapur. He has written a book, Takattulo Bharatadesham, which has basically explained about the situation of the poor people or the oppressors during the 1960s and 1970s. So, Tarimala Nagireddy has written the book Takatlo Bharatadesham, which has basically enlightened people about the Naxalite movement. And then Chandra Pulla Reddy is also one of the leaders. Kondapalli Sitaramaya, Devulapalli Venkateshwar Rao, Tarimala Nagireddy, and Chandra Pulla Reddy. And then there were differences. These three people did not like the ideologies of the CPI-ML. So they have come out of CPI-ML and they have formed APCCCR, which is AP Coordination Committee of Communist Revolutionaries. Devulapalli Venkateshwar Rao, Nagireddy, and Chandrapula Reddy have come out of the CPI-ML and formed APCCR. 60% of the party members joined Nagireddy, that is, they have joined APCCR from CPI-ML. From CPI-ML party, they have joined into APCCR. So the difference is, Why did they get separated? What these people did not like in CPIML? These are the two main points which these people did not like in CPIML. The first is they did not support annihilation. Basically, according to CPIML or the Naxalbari movement, they have suggested killing of the people, killing of the people who were who were exploiting the poor. So these people have rejected the annihilation, that is killing of these people. And then relations with Chinese Communist Party. So the relations with Communist Party were also not liked by these people. So they have come out and they have formed APCCR. And the activities in Khammam and Varangal forest were conducted by this APCCR and the leaders of the APCCR. And then how did this, how did all the situations we have just discussed impact the Naxalite movement in Telangana? Basically, when these situations were happening, people were the 1969 movement has just ended, but there were no fruitful result, or there was no good result from the 1969 movement. So the people started doing different movement. So they have seen the Naxalite movement starting and they have jumped into Naxalite movement. And then CPIML and APCCR were both working in Telangana. Naxalites address the problem of tribal people. That is, the political leaders or the CPIML, no one has addressed the problems of tribal people. APCCR has addressed the problems of tribal people, and CPIML, who were the Naxalites, has addressed the tribal people. So this is why tribal people have encouraged the Naxalite movement. And then feudal lords came back as political leaders into the society. And then youth inspired by Marxist and Leninist style of struggle and their ideologies has also started taking part in the Naxalite movement. Student movements have created base for the Naxalite movement. So next we will look into the student movements which have been created, which have helped the Naxalite movement. Okay, so let's think about the, yeah, once you think about the Naxalite movement of Telangana and the students, you should definitely remember the name of George Shetty. He is as, like, you can compare him to Che Guevara, who has roamed around North America on a motorbike to know the problems of the people of the America. So in the same way, George Reddy has also roamed in the villages of Telangana on a cycle, and he came to know the problems of the common people in Telangana. Basically, George Reddy was murdered in the OU campus when there was a fight between SSUI, National Students Union of India, which is a affiliate of Congress Party. So, and ABVP. During this fight, George Reddy was stabbed and he succumbed to death. He toured the villages in Telangana on a cycle. And then there was a formation of Progressive Democratic Student Union. So this union was formed by the inspiration of the Naxalbari movement. There was again a split in this union. That is, one part of the union has openly propagated the Naxalbari movement, and the other group has stick to the student issues and used movements and strikes only for the student issues. But the other half of the PDSUs openly propagated the Naxalbari movement. So the people who openly propagated Naxalbari movement have formed a society called Radical Students Union, and they have launched a campaign called Go to Village campaign. So in this Go to Village campaign, students leave their studies and organize peasantry struggles in India. Basically, they took nothing. They just took a bag of clothes and went to a village, and they earned their money, lived with the villagers, they tried to know the problem of the villagers, and they started fighting on behalf of the villagers. So Radical Student Union students went to villages as a go to village campaign and started fighting as Naxalites from these villages. And on 24th July 1975, when the emergency was declared and there was a civil rights movement in the Telangana, four students were arrested in Medak district forest region, and these four students belonged to Varangal. So these are the names of these four students, which is Surapaneni Janardhan, Murli Manohar, Murli Mohan, Sudhakar, Anandra. These four students were captured by police and shot dead point blank. So if and they have said it is an encounter. If it is an encounter, the bullet must be shot from a far distance. But they have shot them point blank. That is putting a pistol on their forehead or somewhere on their body, and they have shot them. So this is definitely a fake encounter. And on 1977 April, there is a non-governmental committee which was constituted by higher officials in order to look into this fake encounter. This report has announced that the murder of these four students is not an encounter, but it is a murder done by the police officials. And then there's a commission called Bhargava Commission, which was constituted by the government. This Bhargava Commission has also said that Giraipalli encounter was a fake encounter, but then government suppressed these two reports and it did not let them come out, which have come out very later in the very later stages. And then let's talk about a small incident which has happened in Tapalapur in Lakshapetman Taluk of Adilabad district. On September 1976, Naxalites killed two sons of Pidambar Rao, who is a landlord. Basically, Pidambar Rao died of a heart attack when when the Naxalites threw a hand grenade in the backyard of the Pidambar Rao's home. So, listening to this sound, Pidambar Rao got a heart attack, sorry, and he has died. So, after this, when the two sons came from Hyderabad for his funeral, Naxalites have killed these two sons. Basically, Naxalites targeted only the elder son of Pidambar Rao, but two of their sons have died. And then after that, in 1977, police has arrested Naxal leaders Kondapalli Sitaramaya, Kollari Chiranjeevi, Shivaji, Ramachandra Rao, Vishweshwar Rao, etc. because of this incident. And then there were many other movements which were organized by these Naxalites and coolies in Telangana, which were called as Coolie Sangam in Telangana, which we will discuss in the next video. Thank you for subscribing and thank you for listening to my videos. Thanks for asking for more videos, which has basically encouraged me